Man, that is a hell of an intro, man. It got me all into it. Man.
Get you pumped.
Get me pumped, man. It'll wake you up, man. It'll put some hair on your chest.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Hey, man, well, it's good to be back, man. It was a hell of a week. We had a lot of things going on this week. At least on my side, I did. And just quick, just want to get right into it, John. Did you hear? And I know we talked about this a little bit, so I know you heard about it now. But the veteran that got kicked off the plane, she was deplaned from the Delta Airlines flight for the shirt that she was wearing. So I'm going to share this on the screen here for everybody watching on YouTube. Where are we? Here we go. Okay. Bay Area veteran asked to deplane Delta flight due to a threatening shirt. And what did that shirt say? That shirt said, "Do not give in to the war within, end veteran suicide." And they asked her to deplane or take off the shirt. She mentioned that she wasn't wearing a bra, so she couldn't take off the shirt. So yeah, just taken off the flight for that because apparently somebody thought it was threatening. So I in turn made a quick YouTube short on the green logbook, and then, just started getting comment after comment after comment about it, like, hey, how dare they, et cetera, et cetera. This thing is as threatening as a Teletubby is what I got. Just really wanted to kind of get into this, man. Like, what are your thoughts about that? About this whole like deplaning? I mean, do you think that maybe it went to a level that it shouldn't have?
I feel like the cancel culture that we've been looking at over the last couple of years, and it's kind of just evolving over time. And then you have things like the Diddy trial coming up, and like all these weird things that keep popping up, and they're going to keep popping up. It's not like it's some kind of outlier that's not going to happen. Like, people are going to do dumb stuff.
Right.
But this right here is really something where it's like, I don't know if you could just jump straight to conclusions, like maybe just get the context behind the shirt or ask a question rather than just assuming like, hey, this is threatening because it says the word suicide on it or whatever it happens to say. Like, that means if I wear a suicidal tendency shirt and get on a plane, like, is that threatening as well? Because that's a legit band name, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So, or like an NWA shirt or something like, you know what I'm saying? Like anything like that. And it's like, it's just a shirt. Like, you're not inciting a riot. You're not walking on with picket signs and like, pepper spray and all kinds of nonsense. Like, you're literally just getting on the plane with a shirt that says something on it. How threatening is it actually? I think they really need to check the policies first, but also check like what they're deeming as something really, really derogatory, and where do you draw that line? Because it's very subjective.
It is. So I think threatening was maybe the wrong term, maybe offensive to somebody, right? It was offensive to whoever the flight attendant was. Hey, I don't like that word, et cetera, whatever. Yeah. However, I mean, it's not, in my opinion, it is not a threatening shirt, right? I mean, I've seen people with worse on planes, and nobody says a freaking thing to them. It's insane. I was, even in my mind, I was like, you know what? We should get a whole flight of just people like veterans wearing this one shirt on a Delta flight and see. They're not going to make any money that day on that flight, because we're just going to either that or just somebody had mentioned, hey, look, if there's a time to boycott an airline, right now is the time because of this. But man, yeah, I thought it was crazy when I read it. I'm like, there's no way, man, this isn't real. Like, she probably had to get given some, some pushback on this, but it seemed genuine. I'm still waiting to hear Delta Airlines statement. It's probably going to be some kind of blanket generic statement saying, hey, look, we support the veteran community. We would never, et cetera, do something to offend. We sincerely apologize, et cetera. I'm not speaking for them. I'm just kind of speculating to what I've seen in the past from other statements put out by airlines. Right. And yeah, if we don't mind, man, we'll play a little bit of this video and just kind of see the ins and outs of what happened.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Oh, no audio.
Delta flight at
Oh, here we
SF
go.
shocked
Do you
and
hear it?
humiliated.
Yep.
That's how a Bay Area veteran is feeling tonight after being kicked off a Delta flight at SFO because of a T-shirt she was wearing. NBC Bay Area's Jocelyn Moran joins us now. Jocelyn, what do we know tonight?
Yeah, Audrey, Catherine Banks tells us she was flying out of SFO on Wednesday night when a flight attendant told her the shirt she was wearing was threatening. Catherine is a Marine Corps veteran and tells us the words on her shirt encompass the work she does for others. This is the shirt that Catherine Banks says got her removed from her Delta flight on Wednesday. It reads, quote, "Do not give in to the war within, end veteran suicide." Passengers had boarded and she was sitting in her extra legroom seat when a flight attendant approached her.
A male flight attendant was saying, "Ma'am, ma'am." And I was looking around like, who's he talking to? And it was me. And he said, "You need to get off the plane." And I was like, what did I do?
Catherine says it wasn't until she got off the plane and onto the jet bridge that he told her why.
He said, "That shirt you're wearing is threatening." I said, "Are you kidding me? I'm a Marine Corps vet. I'm going to go see my Marine sister who's survived 22 years in the Marine Corps, right? And 15 years working for the Air Force. And I'm going to visit her." And he said, "I don't care about your service and I don't care about her service. That shirt you're wearing, the only way you're going to get back on the plane if you take it off right now."
But she wasn't wearing a bra.
I turned around and so he couldn't see the front of me and took the shirt off and put the sweatshirt on.
Wow.
It's giving me anxiety. I'm sorry.
She tells us she was allowed back on the plane, but not allowed to sit in the extra legroom seat she paid extra for. Instead, she was told to sit in the back of the plane. The flight was delayed and she missed her connecting flight. On its website, Delta's contract of carriage says it may remove passengers from the aircraft, quote, "when the passenger's conduct, attire, hygiene, or odor creates an unreasonable risk of offense or annoyance to other passengers."
And escorted me off the plane.
This isn't the first time somebody has been pulled off a Delta flight because of how they were dressed. In March,
All right, so that was the end of the whole veteran. This other one is some other lady, but yeah, that's so she was allowed to go back on the plane after, right? But had to go sit in her unassigned seat or the seat that she didn't pay for, which is weird to me. Like, now, who the hell is sitting in that seat? You know, like, who took up that seat?
That
I wonder
and-
if maybe what's up.
No, I was gonna say that, and then the fact that she had to pretty much like derobe, you know, in
Right.
the jetway. That's
Yeah.
insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was late night when they interviewed her. I mean, she did seem a little bit like, I don't know if it was the anxiety hitting her or maybe some of that, you know, online or on plane drinking a little bit, but you know, she seemed a little out of it,
Yeah.
and maybe she was kind of shocked. Still, I'm not sure. Again, I don't want to speculate, but that's what, you know, I'm just going off of what I see. But yeah, man, it's to not be told why you're being deplaned. And I have to, just the way it went down, I have to believe that people around her were kind of saying things about it, right? Because if they didn't sit
Yeah.
her back in that same seat, it's because maybe somebody around that area probably took offense to it, and so they had to switch her seat somewhere else. You know, so hopefully she gets hopefully we hear what happened with Delta in their statement. And I'd be curious to know if, you know, Delta's ever going to be reimbursing her for that flight, or at least what she paid for versus where she went.
Yeah, and we'll tag Dodd. That's I guess my next question is like, what do you actually do to address this? I think we should for sure tag Delta in here, and if there's a Delta representative out there, you want to come reach out to us and speak and talk about it, fine. If you want to give us a statement as well, fine, that'd be great. We'd love to hear it, because this is really just, I feel like it's a little bit over the top for what it is. I mean, really, again, like I said, how offensive is it? Like that, and then the fact that, again, this kind of cancel culture and everybody kind of hides behind their avatar online when they say stuff, and they feel like they can like move that into the real world and just kind of hide behind instead of just addressing it with the person or talking with somebody. If you're sitting next to somebody and you feel like the shirt's offensive, like ask them the question. Like,
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, inquire about it instead of just jumping to conclusions. Like, hey, oh hell no, this is completely offensive. I'm offended by it. You know, just how about you have a dialogue, a conversation about it before you jump to conclusions or something to that effect. you
Yeah.
know, and yeah, I don't know that Delta and their employees handled it the correct way. Deplaning, not explaining why, you know, this lady was probably like, what the hell? I know I would have been like that. Like, why the hell? What did I do?
Right.
You know, and not understanding until you actually off the plane, being asked to declothe yourself, you know, at that point in time, you know, it's kind of demeaning. So, yeah, I mean, more to come on this one. I'm curious to see what the outcome is and what Delta is going to be doing about that. Because I mean, this thing is spreading on Reddit. I saw it had several hundreds of thousands of like Reddit views and all that. It was like on Facebook, folks were spreading it on Instagram. So I'm like, it's hitting the veteran community pretty hard, and I think Delta needs to come out and say something about this before it gets out of hand, and it
Yeah.
definitely affects their business because it
Yeah,
will.
I would give a counterpoint as well. I mean, just
Mhm.
not to be like, oh yeah, they're great and everything else, but it's sad that we have to hear these things, these kind of demonizing bad things from a company that's, generally speaking, in my experience anyway, and many veterans that I've talked to over the years, and it's one of the reasons why I primarily fly Delta, is because they're generally veteran friendly, veteran forward. Like, they're really there to
Oh yeah.
help veterans. They have the Amex card thing that they give to veterans basically for free, instead of paying the $500, $600, $700 a year for the fees on it while you're on active duty. They give upgrades to veterans all the time. I've seen it time and time and time again. I've experienced it myself. So generally speaking, like, they give you free bags even when they don't have to, usually. Generally speaking, Delta Airlines as a company is very veteran friendly and very veteran forward. And for this specific instance of something to happen to a veteran, it's a little bit sad. And I think they should definitely address it and try to at least mitigate the situation and do something to make it right.
Yeah, I mean, I've used Delta myself for, you know, shipping my dog over here. We flew from Hawaii to SoCal, and I used them to ship my dog here because the other airlines couldn't get it done in time, and we'd have to wait for the next flight. And plus, it was more expensive with other airlines, and Delta took care of us at that point.
Yep.
So I'm curious, you know, things happen, you know, you can't really control everybody's demeanor. You know, you can set out kind of like a commander can set out, you know, a mission statement or, you know, a policy for the command. Not everybody's going to follow that to the T. You know, you're always going to have an outlier. You're always going to have some knucklehead who kind of goes outside the bounds. But I'm curious to see how this is all going to work out. So, Delta, we're looking at you, man. What's the next step? I'm curious
Reach out
hear.
to, we're calling you out. Reach out to us.
Yeah, reach out to us. I mean, if anything, just to tell your side of the story. I'm
Right.
curious now.
Would love
So
to hear it.
let's remove this guy here. So next set of events here was the trip I took to Long Beach. I say trip, but it's only like an hour and a half away. It can turn into a long trip if there's a lot of traffic, because LA traffic is horrendous. So it's a completely different animal from where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the San Diego area. So I dislike going up to LA for that reason alone. Other than that, it's just fine. But took the trip up there because I was invited by Robert Luna. Robert Luna was or is a Coast Guard veteran, retiree. Here, let me pull up his stuff on the screen here. Share the screen.
And thanks,
There we
Rogue Glide, for giving us love, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. So this is Robert Luna, right? This is his site. It's AL to LA. It stands for Alabama to Los Angeles, which is what he walked. You know, he went from Alabama, his hometown where he lives, and walked all the way across the U.S. If you go on his website, you'll see just tons of pictures, even on his Instagram or Facebook, tons of pictures of people that he has encountered along the way. Just, you know, beautiful landscapes of the Midwest, talking to just awesome people, encountering other veterans, civilians, people who just, you know, support him in his endeavor to raise awareness for veteran mental health. And that's exactly what he did. He raised a lot of money for veteran mental health. And I watched him donate a huge check, one of those huge checks, over to the Chief Petty Officers Association, who were coming up with programs for that reason.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was great to just kind of go from having him on as a podcast guest in the past. I think he came on as a podcast guest before he actually started his journey, and I got a chance to go out there and physically meet him. And he has a shirt that he wears says "Free Hugs," right? And that was his thing, was he'd go across the U.S. and his hat said "Free Hugs," and people would approach him. Hey, look, I'm a Coast Guard veteran doing this. Can I get a hug? And people would give him hugs, right? They'd approach him for a hug. And I think it was a great thing, because I think that's one thing that's really missing from our society. Not that you need to go up and hug everybody, but just that
Right.
sense of connectivity between a human to human being, and that's what he brought, and at the end, we finished off our interview. I did an interview and I posted it up on the Military Retirement Podcast, also on the Green Logbook. And we ended it with a hug. That's what it was. I'm like, hey man, it's great to see you. And I truly, genuinely feel like at that point in time, I gained a friend. Like I could always reach out to this guy and talk to him if I needed to. And he's doing great things. Like this whole walk across the US was his phase 1. And his phase 2 is going to be starting a foundation to continue to raise and support awareness of veteran mental health, and I 100% applaud him for his efforts and what he did. The culmination was excellent. We had the base leadership there on the base, kind of welcoming him in. There was like tents and people were cooking out. It was just a good old time. Some of the junior service members were playing. Was it ultimate frisbee? It was just like it was good to be in that environment. It was a really feel good environment, right? I got to connect with some of the base leadership out there, the Master Chief Petty Officer out there at the Coast Guard base in Long Beach. She had mentioned she'd like to come on the podcast and talk a little bit about what they're doing with their service members and supporting the whole veteran mental health thing. And I'm like, yeah, of course, we'd love to have you on. This is great. The environment was great. The people were great. It was just an overall excellent experience. I'm so glad that I was invited by Robert to go up there. So glad I got to meet all the folks out there and at least record a little bit, just a little short snippet of his journey. And it's right after he went in and did a live interview with ABC News. So that
Right.
that was pretty
Nice.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a really good dude, and we actually caught him halfway through as well. I think we did
That's
a short little interview with him. He was at a VFW post, and the wind was blowing and blowing the flags over. But yeah, and just to put it in context, we did this first interview with him 5 months ago. So he spent basically the last 5 months walking across America on foot. I think he said he was averaging like 20 miles a day or something like that.
That's right. That's
Um,
right.
And it looks like you guys took over to Long Beach. Like you guys just came down there and just ransacked Long Beach. Because I know when you did your interview, there were people just walking by, and I was like, "They're military. They're military. They're military." Saw so many people there in the background just in that little short time that you were recording with them.
Yeah, and it was all military. A couple civilian folks out there. I was just kind of walking around. Like I got on base. Of course, I can get on base, right? Because I have my military ID. And gave me no issues. At first, it's kind of hard to find the base at first because it doesn't have that traditional like front gate. So I had to drive into a federal prison facility.
Is that Los Alamitos?
No, it's in San Pedro, connected to
Oh,
Long
okay.
Beach. Yeah, so
So Los Alamitos is also nearby, and it's not too far away from there. I've been to that base before. It's a little ways away from Long Beach, so I thought maybe
Yeah.
that was the one.
Yeah, so this Coast Guard base is like right by all the it's like the
Okay.
wet side, right? By all the ports and all the metal containers that they bring by.
Yep.
And it was like I entered the gates of the federal prison or penitentiary or whatever it was, and I'm like, I looked
San
at the
Quentin.
gate guard. Yeah, right. I looked at the gate guard. I'm like, I don't know if I'm in the right place. I might have to turn around, but could you direct me to the Coast Guard base? And he's like, oh yeah, it's the next one over. You'll see the gate guard there. I'm like, oh, excellent. Tiny base, man. Tiny base.
Yeah.
It reminded me of my time in Newport, Rhode Island. It's a tiny base. But I mean, everybody's got something going on, people are at work and all that. Got a chance to park there, do a little little video. Got a chance to set up. The people that were setting up the event were excellent. You know, I was just kind of wandering around the base, and I got a call. They're like, "Hey, are you here?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm right here by the tents." Yeah, and they're like, "Oh," like I walked by this guy, the coordinator guy, like 3-4 times, and he didn't notice me, right?
Yeah.
And I joked, I was like, "Hey, it's because I'm a Marine, you know, we camouflage, you know, we blend in with stuff." But no, they were excellent, man. They set me up a table, 2 chairs, somewhere where I can put up the camera, you know, right under a nice palm tree. And it was an overcast day, so it wasn't anything bad or anything like that. But it was just an excellent time. Got a chance to watch his whole ceremony, talk to the base leadership, talk to a couple of the other guys. There's some recruiters set up next to me. I asked them if I can join the Coast Guard. You know, I'm in my early 40s, and they're like, "Oh yeah, have you served before?" I was like, "Yeah, I might have. You know, I might have served a little bit."
Couple of
Like,
years.
yeah, a couple of years, right? They're like, "Oh no, we can't do that." Then I was like, "Oh come on, man, just let me just do the Coast Guard on the weekend, man. Come on, it'll be fun. It'll be fun." But no, great event, man. I'd love to continue to support them, and on top of that, I got a chance to meet Rafterman from Full Metal Jacket. He was out there. He's actually standing next to, in this photo we have up here, where he's standing next to the right of Robert in that blue shirt. Rafterman from Full Metal Jacket. You know, he was the combat photographer out there,
Right.
and he runs. He gave me his card. He runs an organization, and he showed up with this car, that car that they're standing right in front of.
Yeah, the one that
It's
had all
a-
the writing on the side.
That's right. So it's a 911 car, right? So it's got the names of all the people who passed away in 9/11, and they're all kind of written all over the car, right? He does like these rides around Vegas or like Nevada and stuff. In this instance, you know, I guess he drove it over here, but he had mentioned like, "Hey, look, we'd love you to come on the podcast." He'd love for us to go on his podcast if we'll have him on our podcast. And
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, 100%." So yeah, Kevin.
Let me think about it
Kevin, if
really
you're-
hard for a second. Hold on.
Yeah, right. So yeah, Kevin, if you're listening to this, man, we're 100% on board. You know, whenever you want to do that, you know, just get a hold of me. I shot you an email already, so we can get that thing set up. But yeah, it would be excellent. It would be excellent. He was asking me like, "Hey, do you often come to Las Vegas?" Because I guess his studio is over in Las Vegas, right? It's got a nice podcast studio out there, and I think his podcast is called Talk to Talk with Rafterman.
Okay.
So if you haven't already checked that out, please do so. Afterman, just a great down to earth dude. He signed a photo for me and all that. You know, didn't ask him to do any of that stuff. I was like, "Hey, just great to meet you, man." I mean, like I've watched you on TV for so many times, being a Marine myself.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's great to, you know, great to meet up with some fellow veterans and stuff." And yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better day, man. It was just a great experience, you know. And
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun, man. I wish
yeah,
I could have been out there with you, man. That would have been awesome. I may or may not be in Las Vegas in June. If you want to try to set up an in-person thing, we could try to set that up. But if you want to do something in between, then we can definitely do the online thing as well. That's fine.
yeah, absolutely. So it's I we'll see what happens with this guy, Kevin. He did mention that he's working on a somewhat of a documentary about Full Metal Jacket. So when I told him, "Hey, look, I'm a retired Marine, I'd love to help out," he's like, "Dude, I'd love to have you." I'm like, "Hey, let's freaking do it, man. Whatever you need me to do, you know, you need me to carry some cables over to connect the cameras, I'll help you out."
Right. For real. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
awesome, man. You covering down in the States. That's good. I
Yeah,
can't cover down in
man.
the States right now because I'm just not there.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
I do want to address this question that just came up in the chat. It's Road Glide. Thank you again for hanging out with us and being with us, man, and supporting us. We really appreciate it. He's saying, "Where's the best trio? Base access, great VA hospital, and the best state for BA benefits?" I'm thinking OK, meaning Oklahoma, because of tax exemption cards and 0 other taxes. Texas, perhaps, currently 100% PNT in Manila. Well, shit. Congratulations, man, for 100% PNT and for 100% PNT in Manila. That's exceptional. Like, I think your VA money and assuming you're retired, your retirement money goes a long way in Manila, or at least it used to. I'm pretty sure it probably does still. Personally, I would stay in Manila if you're looking to get some back to the States access or back to the States kind of residency. I've done a lot of the research and I came up with South Dakota. And not to plug them because this is not a sponsored thing or anything like that, but my personal path to leaving the States was setting up residency in South Dakota. And I did that through a company called Dakota Post. I basically go and sign up for their service. I pay them $100 and something, $200 a year. They basically get all my mail through the US mail. It goes through there. They scan every piece of mail that comes in. If I want them to open it, I just click on the thing. They'll open it and scan what's inside. And then if at any point I want them to actually forward the physical mail to me, I can just have them either batch it and put it together, or they can send it one at a time, depending. Like I had my title for my car was sent to that mailbox immediately after I got my residency and set that stuff up. And they had it in their system and had it in their possession for about a year. And I just recently, like a month or two ago, when I was getting all my stuff together to ship my car and my household goods, I was digging around trying to find the thing, and I was like, oh, maybe it's still in the thing. So I looked and it was still inside of Dakota Post. So I just had them FedEx that to me overnight to Georgia. And then I had the document. So they literally held my mail for a year. I don't know if they do that normally, but that was just one of those pieces of mail that was kind of critical, and they held it and sent it to me. But yeah, basically the process goes, you sign up, you make a overnight stay in South Dakota, whether it's a hotel or an Airbnb. You take that receipt with you to the DMV the next day. And then along with the paperwork that they give you from Dakota Post, you get your driver's license. And then if you need plates for your car, you can go down from there. After you get your driver's license, go downtown to the DMV place downtown and get your plates. I did all of that within 2 hours, literally in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That morning, got up, went to the DMV to get my driver's license, and then went downtown and got my plates, and I had all that done in 2 hours. I've never had my driver's license and my plates done in 2 hours and in my hand ever, anywhere in any state that I've been to. The state is tax-free, so it's you pay taxes on things like cars and things like that, but it's kind of like New Hampshire. If you've ever been to New Hampshire, it's a tax-free state, but you pay a little bit more for your car tax or something like that. So it's really, and beyond that, it's digital native friendly, meaning you can literally, like for me, I don't live there, but I have a physical presence there through this Dakota Post thing, and allows me to maintain US residency without having a home and land and all that stuff that you normally have to have. It's literally, to me, all the research that I did, the best kind of all-in-one package that I could find that covers me. Then you have to go back every 5 years and renew your license. So you just show up for one day, spend the night, bring your receipt, take it to the DMV, and then just renew your license.
5 years is not bad, though. Not bad at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. And beyond that, like going to South Dakota, if you've never been to South Dakota, I would actually, if you do it, I would plan to stay like a week or maybe 2 weeks and just stay and hang out, especially if you go around the time when Sturgis is going on. They have all the motorcycles there. I thought it was going to be crazy, and Sturgis wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be. Maybe because I didn't stay around for the nighttime like hangouts and bar stuff, but it was
you just didn't
really
do
cool.
It right, John. You just didn't.
I
do
didn't.
It right.
I didn't have a Harley, so I was like, well, I'm in this U-Haul truck. We'll make the best of it.
No regrets. No regrets. Tattoo right here.
With regret spelled wrong.
Yep. No regret. RAGRETS.
So yeah, man. Because you can see Mount Rushmore. You can go to what is it called? Devil's Tower, just one state over. There's a ton of stuff to see in South Dakota, and then you can go to like the Badlands. You can go up to North Dakota. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Great place to hang out, and a nice place to just relax and unwind for a couple days. If you want to just go up there and do your stuff and stay, like I would highly recommend that if you want to go that route.
Shit, man,
but that would be my recommendation. I mean, it allows you to basically uproot and go anywhere. We talk about it in our book that we put out. If you haven't seen the QR code pop up on the screen and want to get a copy, it's on Amazon. But one of the chapters in there is how to figure out where you want to live. And one of the sub chapters in there is like being a digital native, being a digital nomad. And this is one way to really do it for me, because I live in Sicily now. But I still have my ties to the States. So if I want to start an LLC or a company or whatever back in the States, or a nonprofit, I can do that through that residency. That's why I maintained it for that, and also for tax purposes. So I have my ties still back to the States either way. And I've got my little stateside license. Everything's covered, and I don't have to maintain a house and like pay mortgage or pay rent or whatever it is. It's really, really, really useful.
Yeah, I have heard that Texas and Florida are really, really veteran friendly. I've from many people I've talked to, many other fellow veterans that I've talked to, they're like, hey, yeah, they're staying in Texas, or they're going back to Texas because of the educational benefits, because of the tax exemptions, just the VA hospitals. The Florida is also great. No state tax, et cetera, et cetera. I'll tell you where not to go. That is not very veteran friendly, is except for the VA hospitals, which I've had great access to and great experiences with, is California. You don't get the 100%. You don't get the 100% property tax exemption. I mean, they take care of some stuff, right? They give you like at least 170,000 off the top of your mortgage,
Right.
whatever that may be, but it's not full tax exemption by any means. They're far from where Texas is and where Florida is when it comes to veteran or supporting disabled veterans or retirees. So California is not top of the list whatsoever. The living out here is good. The weather's great.
Yep.
However, if you're a military retiree trying to get the most for your money, Manila it sounds pretty sick out there. I mean, from what I've heard, you can live like a freaking king out there as a retiree. But aside from that, in the States, I've heard also Texas and Florida are pretty good.
Yeah. And the Philippines is really American friendly, I guess, is what I would say. From what I understand, my former marriage was with a Filipino, and basically you can go there with about $50K cash and just live like a king in a nice place with servants to take care of the laundry and the food and all that. So like literally live like a king for 50,000. And that's pretty damn good when you think about it. Like you could make that with VA with 100% P&T and retirement check easily. So
Cleaning people, employees is what we mean.
right. You can have a staff. Yeah. Anything else beyond that, that's your personal preference, whatever you want to do with that. But
I've heard Dominican Republic is pretty good too.
Yep.
I've seen some videos floating around on YouTube from this other veteran who lives in Dominican Republic, and I know I have firsthand knowledge about that too. Not for myself, but I'd say secondhand knowledge. Right, my uncle lives out in Dominican Republic. He is an Army veteran, and they have a cleaning staff that comes and cleans their house several times a month. It's super cheap out there. It's not like he didn't retire from the Army, but he has like his VA disability and stuff. And aside from that, he doesn't have to work. His VA disability covers everything for him. Yep. He does like little odd jobs here and there when he wants to, but it sounds like he's living a good life out there. So if anything, if that's maybe, if you're looking to supplement or make the best of your retirement, maybe check out Dominican Republic as well. Nice tropical area, similar to maybe the Philippines, and good weather. Hopefully you don't get hit by hurricanes and stuff out there like they have been, in the past. But
been getting beat down this year.
Yeah, something to look into, right? Something to look into.
Yeah. And even that, like why I chose, one of the reasons why I chose here is the weather is great. It's really hot, but it's great. But even in other parts like Naples and Rome and stuff like that, like if you wanted to relocate, especially for medical purposes, right? If you wanted to relocate somewhere and you need access to good medical, and you don't want to get a job and you just want to live there, the visa process outside of getting the military visa is kind of complicated. But if you did take like an odd job, like a NAF job, I think we kind of talked about this last week.
That's right.
NAF jobs are the best damn thing. They're like they're like becoming a warrant officer. It's the best kept secret of the government, really. Like they don't fall under like that continuing resolution crap. They have essentially a better 401k plan. You get a lot of time off. It's just, I mean, it's like blue collar wage grade kind of jobs. Some of them more managerial, some of them are more technical, but generally speaking, it's like blue collar, slightly white collar. The pay is not so great, but if you're making a 100% PNT and retirement check,
Do you really need to be making another 6 figures? No, you don't.
nah,
Really. It's
not
just
honestly.
it's something fun. It's something fun to get into. Just having a purpose every day, right? Having a battle rhythm. You get up, you got to go do this. Hook up some wires or whatever you got to do. Make your 50 grand a year. You're chilling, man.
Yep.
You're set. You're
Basically.
good.
Yeah.
Roll
and
glide.
you get the healthcare.
Yeah, you do. Roll glide. Your last comment, man. You old dirty dog. I see that.
Man, I love that you're being so transparent with us. And I mean, granted, we're on the internet, so it's only us two and you talking right now. But,
that's it. Nobody else knows.
But yeah, man, I would highly recommend Italy because you can get the same kind of good weather, especially in the south, like Naples, down here in Sicily. You can be next to the base if you need to get on base to get access to the base hospital, and if you get the Italian residency, the healthcare here is basically free. So you can literally go to the hospital for whatever and get taken care of whatever. And they've got a lot of really good doctors, but even here in the south, in the bad part of Italy, they've got great healthcare, great food, great weather. And it's not as nice as Manila, maybe, but it's actually pretty good.
So what makes it not nice? Is it like crime? What is it Naples? Is that where it is?
Well, I'm in Sicily. Yeah, I'm in Sicily, and it's supposedly the not nice part of like the South in general is the not nice part. It's kind of like the South in the United States. Like you go down to Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and people are like, "Oh, it's different down there." And like, yeah, but that's the way it is in the South of any country. So people get irritated because we've got different things going on. We're an island. We're secluded. We have limited resources when it comes to imports and exports. And we're kind of like the stepchildren of Italy, but that doesn't stop anybody from coming here all summer long, spending the whole, vacation on the beach and going on catamarans and yachts and, cruising around the island. So
they love it when it's good. They hate it when it's bad. Yeah.
Right.
I get you. Yeah, man. I mean, that's with anywhere, right? Dude, I've been to the South, and I grew up in Florida partly. And so, I mean, there's just some places you don't go to, at least me, right? But I mean, it sounds like from the folks that I've talked to who live in Europe now, it sounds like it's a great time out there, like really accepting. A lot of the places are, lower cost, lower than the US at least. I go through these rabbit holes on YouTube about buying a house in Italy for $1.
Yep.
And then building it up, but I'm like, they're all in shambles and shit, man. I'm like, I'm never gonna build that place up. It's just a rubble of rocks,
Yeah.
I was looking at some from Japan yesterday. Like, hey, look, they're giving away free houses in Japan, but with the stipulation that you have to build it up within 3 years. You have to live in that house for 10 years, and you have to be active in community service when they have like community whatever get-togethers and stuff. You have to be active in participating in that. So it's like there's like fine writing in this, fine print. But I mean, and the house has to be, you have to spend at least $45,000 to build up the house. It has to be livable and pass inspections and things like that. So yes, the house is free, but there's certain things that come along with that, right? So I was like, we were watching it. I was looking at my wife, and she's like, "Hey, free houses in Japan," and I fucking love Japan, dude. I loved living out there. I love Japan, and I was like, "Could we?" And she's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "I'll get a NAF job or something." Right? Yeah, but then I started looking into it. I was like, I don't know if I want to like dedicate 10 years out there, because I'm like, I like to kind of move around and stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, there's always that. There's always that.
I mean, that's the general cost of any visas for not across the board, but a lot of countries that offer these visas, it's usually you bring in some kind of investment, and a lot of them are asking for like 100,000, 200,000 from your business or your retirement or whatever it happens to be. So it's actually not bad. It's actually on the lower end of the scale. It's not too bad.
Yeah. Like when I took a trip to Costa Rica, it was a beautiful, beautiful country. Excellent areas, man. Like stayed in front of the volcanoes, and then stayed in front of the beaches. And then I got to looking and I was like, man, I could live out here. Like I really could live out here. Right. And I looked at like the residency requirements and stuff. And they're like, yeah, if you are an expat looking to live out there, you have to bring in at least $2,000 a month. I'm like, dude, if Road Glide can do it, I can do it. Right. So 2,000 a month. Let's do that. And you live like a king out there. As long as you're not living in like the very touristy areas, right? Those prices go up.
Yeah, stay away from the tourist areas.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, aside from that, man, it's beautiful, beautiful city, beautiful, beautiful country, man. A lot of green foliage, a lot of mountains. You know, there was a point in time where we went horseback riding, and you can see into, I think it was Nicaragua. You can see into like the next country. I was like, oh shoot, man, that's sick, you know. And there was like, I didn't see a border there. I'm like, you could just ride the horse into it. I'm like, I don't know if I'd do that, but Philippines retirement visa for veterans over 55 is only 1,500, 50,000 for civilians. That's not bad at all, man. Road Glide, man. I think you got your answer, dude.
I would stay there, man. I mean, so if you're looking for good, affordable healthcare, and this is just another kind of option that you can think of, they have what is that thing? The vacation healthcare thing. They have like different hospitals in like Thailand and like South Asia there, just right across the pond from the Philippines, where you can, because a lot of people from the States will do that if they have to do like a major surgery or something like that. They'll actually just fly to like Thailand or wherever, and they'll stay there for a couple months and pay for the hospital visit there cash, because it's way, way, way cheaper, and do it all there, and then just fly back to the States once they're done. I've heard of that a lot. So that's maybe another option if it's something healthcare related that you need to take care of. It's maybe surgery related or something like that. You could literally just probably cheaper just fly to like Thailand or wherever, one of those places in the South Pacific there that have good doctors, because I mean, a lot of the good doctors come from Asia. A lot of the good doctors come from Europe as well. The Philippines has tons and tons and tons of nursing students that go and migrate to the US and backfill some of our nursing positions in the US. So they're definitely on it. It's not like they're doing bad medicine.
Yeah. It seems like the US has the highest prices anywhere, man. Like, I mean, even flights, right? I was looking at flights to God, where was it? I can't even recall. It was across the US somewhere, maybe Florida. And the prices to go from, no, it was Mexico City. That's what it was, because I wanted to go take a trip to Mexico City. I've not been out there before. You know, I live in Southern California. I'm like, it's right down there. To fly from San Diego to Mexico City was, at least at the time I looked at it, was $450. If you fly from LA to Mexico City, it was $260. Driving down to Tijuana, just crossing the border, maybe like less than an hour away.
Right.
Driving a flight from Tijuana to Mexico City was $65, man. I was like, why is it $450 from San Diego? And partly it's because the airlines, right? It's the airlines that you use. You use Aeromexico when you're flying out there. You use American or whatever we got out here when you're flying across from US to Mexico. But I found that everything, when I start looking into this, like Road Glide is doing, right? He's looking into like where he wants to go. When I start digging deep into this stuff and uncovering things, I'm like, man, the US is so freaking expensive, man.
Yep.
Like I see things like on Facebook Marketplace, people are selling a house out in like Rosarito, which is like a beach town, right? Probably not the safest, but a beach town, right? Nonetheless, beachfront house, you can get it for the same price as a freaking 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom out here, you know, in LA, San Diego. It's super crazy, man. And I'm like, why, you know, that thought of like the American dream and owning a house and owning these things and having a great life, it's slowly dwindling down, I think. And I think, you know, little by little, like military retirees are having to supplement their income just to make things happen, you know, with other jobs and stuff like that, if they want to have a great life. Um, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that, man. It's like things are getting way more expensive than anywhere else that I've seen outside of the country.
I gotta look this up real quick because he just mentioned he can go from the Philippines to Guam round trip is $290, which is cheap. That's super cheap. But I'm wondering if they have VA facility on Guam. I'm not sure. Do you happen to know?
I don't. I mean, they got the military base out there, but I don't know about the VA facility. Just Google VA Guam, I guess, right?
Guam VA clinic.
Got to use Gunny Google here.
Yep.
VA.
They do have a clinic in Guam.
Oh yeah, there you go. Road Glide.
Nice.
You got it, man.
Done, man. Yeah, personally, I would just stay in the Philippines. Yeah, I just looked it up. Thank you. Yeah, that's sick, man.
Yeah,
I would
sounds like life is
personally
good
stay
out
in the
there.
Philippines. Yeah, it can't be that bad. And then, I mean, depending if you want to live in the city of Manila or if you want to go out to like the outskirts, closer to the edge, like the beaches, they've got a lot of nice little hidden gems of places throughout the Philippines that you can go to.
I'd go.
It's super cheap.
I'll tell you what, Road
Super
Glide,
cheap.
you go to Manila, you go to the Philippines, and then that way when I go out there, I'll have a place to stay. I know somebody out there. So like, who are you here to see, sir? I'm here to see Road Glide. What's his real name? I no clue. Just Road Glide.
And that what's that place? Jollibee? Is that what it's called? It's like
Jollibee.
the Philippine version of like
KFC or
McDonald's and KFC combined together. Like they have like
know-
hot dogs and chicken, and then they have
Yeah.
hamburgers.
I can't do it, man. They have Jollibee out here close
Yeah.
to my place, and I'm like, I can't do it, man, because it's not they sprinkle the hot sauce or hot powder over the top of the chicken, and I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? You know, maybe because I'm not used to it, but I don't know. I mean, aside from that, I freaking love like Filipino food and stuff, man. It's great. I could eat lumpia all day and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, sisig and all that stuff all day, man.
Pinakbet.
Or whatever that is, that too. Cool.
Halo
Hey, so
halo.
yeah. Halo, yeah. What is it? My condo is right above the mall. I ate at the Texas Roadhouse tonight. Hell yeah, man.
Nice.
Texas
Yeah, Philippines
Roadhouse.
is very, very Americanized because we had
It is.
Americans there for so long.
Hell yeah. So real quick, John, I want to get into, I know we talk a lot about, you know, what we're currently reading and what I have in my hand now. And I just I'm transitioning from this one. It is the Motivation Manifesto. So I've been kind of like reading through this one little by little. There's a little bookstore near my house, and it's every like last Friday of the month, all books are like $1.50. So I just go pick up a ton of books there, and all my old books, you know, I'll donate them because everything they sell goes to the library right next to them. So, but I stopped by the library and I picked this guy up here because I have been, this one just came out. It's called Surf When You Can by Brett Crozier. So Brett Crozier, if you don't remember, sometime maybe in 2020, 2021, he was the Navy captain. He was in charge of the USS Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay.
And he contacted, he was not getting the support that he needed during the COVID, right? He had a bunch of sailors on the ship that were contracting COVID. They had to kind of put them in their own little room so it didn't spread. And he kept on going up to his command and saying, hey, I need some support here. This thing is spreading like wildfire. He wasn't getting the support he needed. So he jumped the chain of command, and his email to the chain of command, when he jumped it, his email got leaked, and somehow somebody got a hold of it. It was all over the news saying, oh yeah, the sailors on this ship, on this carrier are just completely getting sick, and he's not getting the help he needs. And at that point in time, they actually fired him due to loss of trust and confidence. There's a whole video on it, and if you want, you can pull it up, John. There's a video of him where they actually, all the sailors, it is this very like emotional type video, man. It hits you. All the sailors are there watching him as he's leaving the ship, like saluting the guy because he put them first. Like that was like no shit leadership, dude. And he put them first, and he got fired for that. It was crazy. But he wrote a whole book on it, man. It's lessons in life, loyalty, and leadership from a maverick Navy captain. I'm just into about chapter. I just got done with chapter 1, man. It's a great read so far. It's called Surf When You Can.
Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, let me see
Trying
if I can
to
pull it up here.
I think while you're doing that, I'm going to just use my phone. I was going to pull it up on the screen, but I think I'll just do this way. 2 books. I think I mentioned this one last week, but I will pull it up and hopefully. No, stop playing the book. I just want to see the cover. Title details. So this book called The Pathless Path. Hopefully you can see that. All right. This book this is a guy who went to college. He started working for a bunch of these consulting firms, the big name brand consulting firms, the ones that are paying like tons of money. Oh, thank you, Ty. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. So he went down that path and he was making money and chasing money and this and that. And then he decided he was getting kind of burned out with it. And he decided to start doing his own thing. So he started doing things on the side, kind of a side hustle thing. And at some point, he eventually got to the point where he wrote this book and self-published it. And he ended up selling like, I think 50,000 copies, maybe more now. And I'm actually going to tag Paul, if I can, in the video here. I try to reach out, and I'm having conversations with him on one of the channels that he's on, but trying to reach out and see if he can come on the podcast. I think it'd be great for our audience, for people who are transitioning out of the military, because the stuff that he talks about in here is essentially what we kind of go through when we transition from military to civilian life. When we have that kind of void or that abyss in between those two things, and
Right.
we are trying to figure out what we want to do with our lives, even at 30 or 40 or 50, depending on whenever you get out. It's really, really super, super helpful. The book, I'm going to read it again. It's only 6 hours on Audible, but it's a really great story. And I would recommend for anybody who's trying to figure out what you want to do, or even right before you get out, maybe a year or two before you get out, just sit down and read through this book, take some notes, because he talks about a lot of stuff that's not military related, of course, but it's definitely transition and life adjustment related. And I think it would be very helpful to anybody who's getting ready to make that leap out of uniform into civilian life, to try to figure out different ways to go about it, and to understand that, I mean, the title of the book is The Pathless Path, and that's kind of a play on words, because, you know, you're journeying on a new path when you transition out of the military, but that path doesn't actually have a path set. You're kind of walking through an open field and blazing
Right.
your own path through it, no matter if you have things set up or not, if you know what you want to do or not, if you have everything figured out already or not.
Mhm.
You still have to blaze that new path. And even though it's similar to a lot of other people's, it's not going to be exactly the same. You're going to go over different rocks and stones and streams along the way that not everybody else goes across. So this book, I read it. I'm going to read it again. I'm reaching out to you, Paul Millard, if you want to come on. I would love to have you on the show. I'm going to keep pinging you and keep bugging you until I get you on the show, because I think you would bring a lot of value to the audience, to everybody listening or watching right now. Would be really, really great.
It's called The Pathless Path. Is that what
Yep.
it is?
Paul
Yeah.
Millard.
I'm going to check
Get
that
on
one
the
out.
screen. You can get
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, man.
get your screenshots. All right, done.
Real quick, I'll throw one more out there
Mhm.
that I'm listening to on my way to work. So my commute to work is about 25, 30 minutes or so. Let's see, where is it? I'm on chapter 18 right now, and the book is called Rest. I don't know if you can see that. Rest.
Mhm.
And it says, why you get more done when you work less. Not that I want to work less. but I want to work more effectively, right? And it shows on here like why rest is important, why people. Chapter 18 kind of covered athletes, why
Mhm.
a lot of people who are like scientists, a lot of people who are involved with in medicine, why they a lot of them are athletes, like collegiate athletes. He talks a lot about these athletes who were like Rhodes scholars and then went on to like actual professional athletes, NBA, NFL, and then went on to um, complete like feats in medicine and different things like that. And he kind of makes that connection, because you need exercise, you need rest for your brain to function effectively. Kind of gets into the whole nitty gritty of all that stuff, but I would recommend that to anybody who's interested in that, how rest can help you out, help your brain function out more effectively. It's great listen.
Yeah, we had actually, speaking of sleep and sleep deprivation and things like that, we had a guest on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Videos. Where'd it go?
And real quick, Ty Starnes, hey, thanks, buddy, man. I appreciate you watching. I worked with Ty a while back when I was in Japan. He was actually my boss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the dude's like 7 feet tall, man. Great guy, man. I love that dude. Great dude.
I can't find the video. Where the hell did it go? Anyways, we had a guy, a retiree lieutenant colonel. I'm blanking on his name, so forgive me. But basically talks about sleep. Can sleep kill you? I guess is kind of the thumbnail for the episode. Here it is. I found it. Let me get this, blow it up a little bit. And yeah, we talked a lot about sleep, and sleep is actually really, really detrimental for anything you're doing in life, really. It can be very detrimental. And we actually talked about how sleep deprivation is one of the leading causes of suicide. Not to mention the other kind of factors that play into it, like helplessness, hopelessness. But sleep deprivation can directly lead to suicidal ideations and thoughts and things like that, because it disconnects your mind from reality, really, is what it does. The more you do it over time and then for extended periods of time, can be really, really bad. We had a good discussion about that on that episode. It was really good.
Yeah, and there's those times where you try to go to sleep, but you can't because your mind continues racing. Right, I've experienced that many times in the past, and I've even talked to fellow coworkers about it, especially when I first pinned on a warrant officer. I was it seemed like the work went from like 60% to like 80%, like overnight, because I was just expected to do a lot more. And it comes with the rank, right? It comes with the rank, but I sat down with a fellow coworker who was the chief warrant officer and had been in for many, many more years than I had been in. I'm like, hey, look, I can't sleep well. I'm thinking about work all the time because I'm thinking about like the mission. I'm thinking about what I got to do tomorrow. This person was like, yeah, that happens. You just have to learn how to disconnect, do what you can. Don't burn yourself out. Leave something for tomorrow. Understand that the mission is this rolling ball and it continues and it doesn't stop. Even when you're gone, you're on leave or whatever, it doesn't stop, right? Yep. As we say in the Marine Corps, the green monster, it continues on, right? So, and for the longest time, and I'd wake up 8, 9, 10 times a night. Like I could not sleep. Like every hour I'd look at my phone and I'm like, shit, what time is it? Damn it. Or the alarm clock. It's 2 a.m. It's 3 a.m. What the fuck? I couldn't sleep. And I had to learn how to disconnect from all that. I had to learn how to like just leave work with work. And we understand that, we're service, at least Marines, right? Marines 24/7 is what is always pounded in our heads. and basically you're always on call, right? Because even in the Army, I assume, like if they need you for something, if you're on duty or something, you're gonna get a call, hey, so and so, your soldier messed up, he's in custody or whatever. You're gonna get a call. So you're never like you can never just relax and let it go. And I've always felt like that. So yeah, I had to learn how to sleep essentially. I had to learn
Yep.
how to sleep. Because I can't recall a night in my 20-year career where I had like just a relaxing sleep, like unless it was like boot camp, like you get work so hard, you
Yep.
sleep like a rock. But yeah, after that, I was like, man, I don't recall ever having like a good night's sleep, you know. And then I retired, and it's like I really don't have anybody that answers to me. So, I'm a DoD contractor. I'm not going to get a call from anybody. I don't really have to focus on tomorrow's mission because I just have everything written down and knocked out everything I need to do. I'm not in a supervisory position, so I can just kind of chill now. Oh,
Yep.
Camera went off. Give me a second.
All good, man. I'll jump into one last beep. Experiencing technical difficulties. I'll jump into one last book recommendation just because we like to talk about books on here a lot. This is one I'm currently reading, and it's called The 7 Rules of Self-Reliance. This is by Maha Abulinine. Sorry if I messed up the name. I'm not good at pronunciations of names, even though my name is hard to pronunciate. But yeah, this book is also a really good one for people who are transitioning, trying to figure out what they want to do with their life and figuring out how to best utilize their skills, and also really figuring out if you need to just take a step back, take a step down, and get off of your ego-driven high horse and understand that you don't have to continually go up and up and up the ladder. You can step back a couple of rungs on the ladder to then set yourself up for much better things on a different path or even on the same path. This is a really, really great book. She's a immigrant from Egypt, lived in Wisconsin, I believe it was, for a long, long time, and then re-migrated back to Egypt. She's been a caretaker for her parents since she was about 14 or 15 years old. Basically, mom had MS for a long, long time. She was taking care of her, and then her dad developed ALS and was taking care of him as well. I'm only a few chapters in, but this book is turning out to be really, really good, and it really kind of resonates with me and how she's kind of gone about navigating that whole thing of starting out in big time corporate business marketing world and then becoming like basically an office secretary for a really, really powerful businessman in Egypt. And that kind of then setting her up to do a whole bunch of other things that she never really imagined. So without giving away the spoiler alert or anything for the book, also another great book. I highly recommend it. Oh, let me unmute you.
Here we go.
There you go.
I was just saying, you got a lot of good ones, man. I'm writing all these things down. Real quick, I just want to share Captain Retired Brett Crozier's video as he's leaving the Navy carrier. It's it's a good one. Just give me a second here.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes in line with his Surf When You Can book.
Yep. But did you know we also print these and those?
Yeah.
You hear it okay?
The fired captain of the carrier Theodore Roosevelt left his ship for the last time. His crew cheering and chanting his name. Just as striking as the show of support for Captain Brett Crozier is the lack of social distancing among the crew.
I did not come to this decision lightly.
That was Acting Navy Secretary Thomas Modly announcing he had relieved Crozier of his command because of this now famous letter from the captain complaining the Navy was not acting fast enough to get his crew off the ship and into isolation.
To me, that demonstrated extremely poor judgment in the middle of a crisis. Because what it's done, it's created a firestorm.
While the crew of 4,800 continues to be tested and put into quarantine, the Navy has begun an investigation into the actions of the best-known carrier commander in the world. One online petition calling him a hero already has more than 100,000 signatures. David Martin, CBS News, Washington.
Yeah, hell of a story, man. I cannot wait to get complete through his book. Oh, let me cancel that out. Yeah, when I found out he wrote the book and I saw it like on Amazon for pre-order, I was thinking about pre-ordering it, but then I saw my library had it. Like, you know what? Let me just grab it real quick. Though I do foresee this book ending up on my shelf purchased at some point in time because I do like to highlight things and underline things just to take notes in the margins. And this one has, even in chapter 1, has just a ton of things that I could. I'm not going to highlight a library book, you know, but there's
You
so
can.
many
I mean,
notes.
what are they going to do?
Yeah, technically you can, but I'm like, I don't want to do that to the next person, right? But yeah, just an all around good read, man, so far.
Yeah. It's 10:49 on Audible right now, so I'm going to go ahead and get it right now.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, lessons in life, loyalty, and leadership from a maverick Navy captain. I mean, he jumped the chain of command, but it's not like he did it, you know, just out of the blue. His people were infected, man. They were about to die. You know, you got to do something, you know, and what do? Do you just blindly accept the fact that you're not getting any help, or do you look after your people? So
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting time, and I don't know when exactly that happened. I'm guessing it's probably at the beginning of COVID, but that was if you remember that transition through COVID from like the beginning of 2020, I guess, no,
Yeah.
beginning of 2019, all the way through COVID, and then coming out of it and still dealing with it today. Like that transition period, even just the first 6 months of that, like people coming into the realization, like we need to work remotely, we need to do certain things a different way, we need to wear masks. Like I think the first few weeks that they had put it out, and my command was like, you don't have to wear masks, it's not that big of a deal. My wife at the time, she was like, look, I don't care what they're doing, go get a mask, like seriously. So I was the only person walking around the building in a mask basically for the first 2 weeks, and everybody was like, it's not a big deal, it's just going to blow over. And I'm like, dude, it's not going to blow over. This is a global pandemic. Like, this isn't just like SARS happening in China, this is everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was crazy. But then understanding how people were really reluctant to kind of give in to those changes, and it feels like that's something very similar. Like he was being proactive, trying to enact some change, and they just weren't listening. And then instead of saying, okay, we'll work with you and try to work through it, they just said, look, get out of the way, because we're gonna get somebody else in there who will just follow our orders and do what we want you to do.
Yeah. And it's tough too, because you're on a carrier. It's a floating city, right? A float, like an island, right? I mean, it's everybody's got a task to do, right? You got engine people, you got cooks and stuff. Everybody's getting infected, and you only have so many berthing areas, so many rooms that are closed off, right? So at some point, it's like it's going to hit everybody, and we need to do something about it. And when you can't get the answers you need, what do? You know, you got to kind of bend the rules a little bit and trying to look after your people. Yeah. So I commend him for that. I'm curious to see what he has to say in the rest of his book.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I got it in my library now.
So with that, John, I got to go do my little league thing. It was great connecting again, man. It was great talking about like the week's events. It was great connecting with Rob Luna. If you're listening, Rob, I really appreciate you inviting me out there, and looking forward to continue to connect and listen to or hear about your phase 2 in your organization, AL to LA.US. And then what else did I get into? Shoot. Anyhow. It's that squirrel, right? The ADD thing.
Yeah.
Thank you to Road Glide.
Yeah, thank you, Road Glide. Thank you, Ty. Thank you for everybody out here watching, listening, wherever you're catching us on. If you're on YouTube or on Facebook, or if you're catching this after the fact, maybe on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify or something like that. Thank you for every single one of you supporting us. We really, really, really appreciate it. It's helping. The numbers are starting to go up on the YouTube channel, so we're getting slowly there. And I mean, of course, we don't do it for that kind of stuff, but we do it to basically bring as much good information as we can. And then these Sunday things are really just kind of fun for us. Like we have fun with them. And we also bring on people and guests. So hopefully in the near future, we've got a couple guests lined up. We're going to be digging into optometry, hopefully in the next few weeks or so, trying to get that scheduled up and ready. And it's something that not a lot of people talk about, eye health. So I'm happy and excited about that. And we're also going to hopefully within the next week, still lining it up, but it's on the board tentatively, getting into a thing called Veteran AI. If you haven't checked it out already, just go to veteranai dot whatever it is, veteranai.co. You can go there and check it out if you're having trouble getting your VA stuff put together, you're putting in new claims or whatever. If you want to see a video on it, go to the CivDiv, go look at Clay's channel. He just put out a video on it not too long ago. That's where I spotted it. And then I reached out to the company. So we're trying to link up with them. Hopefully next week we'll have them on and we'll be talking about that and a few more interviews in the pipeline coming down. So if you need anything from us, or if you think there's something that you want to talk about specifically or something we need to dive in specifically, let us know. Reach out and just let us know. And thank you, Bakeem.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Bakeem is part of the military retirement group. I know he's part of that. I like that New York hat he's got on too. That's
Nice.
a plus in my book. I didn't know he went to Portugal. That's awesome.
Portugal.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't know he went out there.
Sweet,
now,
sweet.
see, now that's how you do it. Now I know somebody in Portugal. See, now maybe I want to go to Portugal now. Maybe I'm like, hey, what do you know in
Portugal's
Portugal,
beautiful.
sir? Are you here on business or pleasure? I'm here to see Bakeem Austin.
Right. Portugal's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I look forward to getting out there at some point to Lisboa.
But yeah, with all that, thanks everybody for listening, tuning in, watching,
thank you.
streaming. We really appreciate you, and we will check you very soon next week.
Absolutely. And you can find us in all the links above my head here. Military Retirement Podcast, Military Retirement Group on Facebook, The Green Law Book, that's my own channel on Life After the Military, and militaryretirementpodcast.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
Thanks
just
for watching.
recently added all those links to the YouTube homepage for the channel, so you can find them all there as well if you're looking for them.
Excellent. All right, with that, out here.
Have a good one.